Hey everybody, this is Allison from Allykatkreations. How are you? I'm hanging in, surviving. If you are so humbled to do so, please please subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so already. This helps my channel and the work that's being done. It's not just my work, it's everybody's work, because we're here to awaken people. We're here to give a different perspective. Not all the books that I read are something you might be interested in, but I have plenty of content on the channel that you might be interested in. So please check it out, share, spread the word. So today I'm going to continue the book of Enoch, because ask yourself, why was it edited out of the Bible? Or did you not even put in or considered? I think Enoch is very important. Okay. It is springtime in New York City. It's still really cold and it gets hot. It's really cold, it's really windy, and the pollen is bananas today. So with everything else that I have, just bear with me. Okay. And I observed during the time that this 37 shepherds were overlooking, all of whom finished in their respective periods as the first. Others then received them into their hands, that they might overlook them in their respective periods, every shepherd in his own period. Afterwards, I saw in the vision that all the birds in heaven arrived, eagles, the avest, kites, and ravens. The eagle instructed them all. Pause. What is the symbol of freedom in America? What's the bird on everything? What are we seeing more of? Think about it. Is God giving us a wink? I think God's winking at us, saying it's going to be okay. Never know. They began to devour the sheep, to peck out their eyes, and to eat up their bodies. The sheep then cried out, for their bodies were devoured by the birds. We don't like to see our birds doing that, do we? I also cried out and groaned in my sleep against that shepherd which overlooked the flock. And I looked while the sheep were eaten up by the dogs, by the eagles, and by the kites. They neither left their body nor their skin, nor their muscles, until their bones alone remained, until their bones fell upon the ground, and the sheep became diminished. I observed likewise during the time that 23 shepherds were overlooking, who completed in their respective periods 58 periods. Then there were lambs born of those white sheep, who began to open their eyes and to see, crying out to the sheep. The sheep, however, cried not out to them, neither did they hear what they uttered to them, but were deaf, blind, and odorant in the greatest degrees. I saw in the vision that ravens flew down upon those lambs, that they seized one of them, and they, tearing the sheep into pieces, they devoured them. I saw also the horns grew upon those lambs, and that the ravens lighted down upon the horns. I saw too that a large horn sprouted out of an animal among the sheep, and that their eyes were open. He looked at them, their eyes were wide open, and he cried out to them. Then the Dalvala saw him, all of whom ran to him. And besides this, all the eagles, the aves, the ravens, and the kites were still carrying off the sheep, flying down upon them and devouring them. The sheep were silent, but the Dabella lamented and cried out. Then the ravens contended and struggled with them. They wished among them to break his horn, but they prevailed not over him. I looked on them until the shepherds, the eagles, the aves, and the kites came, who cried out to the ravens to break the horn of the Dabella, to contend with them, and to kill him. But he struggled with them and cried out that help might come to him. Then I perceived that the man came who had written down the names of the shepherds and who ascended up before the Lord of the sheep. He brought assistance and caused everyone to see him descending to the help of the Dabella. I perceived likewise that the Lord of the sheep came to them in wrath, while all those who saw him fled away. All fled down to the tabernacle before his face, while all the eagles, the aves, ravens, and kites assembled and brought with them all the sheep of the field. Sorry, guys. All came together and strove to break the horn of the Dabella. Then I saw that man who wrote the book at the word of the Lord open the book of destruction, of that destruction which the last 12 shepherds wrote, and pointed out before the Lord of the sheep that they destroyed more than those who preceded them. I saw also that the Lord of the sheep came to them, taking in his hand the scepter of his wrath, seized the earth, which became rent asunder, while all the beasts and birds of heaven fell from the sheep and sunk into the earth, which closed over them. I saw too that a large sword was given to the sheep, who went forth against all the beasts of the field to slay them. But all the beasts and birds of heaven fled away before their face. And I saw a throne erected in a delectable land. Upon this sat the Lord of the sheep, who received all the sealed books, which were opened before him. Then the Lord called the first 7 white ones and commanded them to bring before him the first of the first stars, which preceded the stars, whose form partly resembled that of horses. The first star, which fell down first, and they brought them all before him. And he spoke to the man who wrote in his presence, who was one of the 7 white ones, saying, take those 70 shepherds, to whom I delivered upon the sheep, and whom receiving them killed more of them than I commanded. Behold, I saw them all abound, and all standing before him. First came on the trial of the stars, which being judged and found guilty, went to the place of punishment. They thrust them into a place deep and full of flaming fire, and full of pillars of fire. Then the 70 shepherds were judged, being found guilty, were thrust into the flaming abyss. At that time, likewise, I perceived that one abyss was thus open in the midst of the earth, which was full of fire. And to this were brought the blind sheep, which being judged and found guilty, were all thrust into the abyss of the fire on the earth and burnt. The abyss was on the right of the house. And I saw the sheep burning and their bones consuming. I stood beholding him emerged, that ancient house, while they brought out its pillars, every plant in it, and the ivory enfolding it. They brought it out and deposited it in a place on the right side of the earth. I also saw that the Lord of the sheep produced a new house, great and loftier than former, which he bounded by the former circular spot. All its pillars were new, and its ivory new, as well as more abundant than the former ancient ivory, which he had brought out. And while all the sheep which we left were in the midst of it, all the beasts of the earth and all the birds of heaven fell down and worshipped them, petitioning them and obeying them in everything. Then those three who were clothed in white and who were holding me by my hand had before caused me to ascend, while the hand of him who spoke held me, raised me up and placed me in the midst of the sheep before the judgment took place. The sheep were all white with wool long and pure. Then all who had perished and had been destroyed, every beast of the field and every bird of heaven assembled in that house. While the Lord of the sheep rejoiced with great joy, because all were good and had come back again to his dwelling. And I saw that they laid down the sword, which had been given to the sheep, and returned to his house, sealing it up with presence of Lord. All the sheep would have been enclosed in that house, had it been capable of containing them, and the eyes of all were open, gazing on the good. Nor was there one among them who did not behold him. I likewise perceived that the house was large, wide, and extremely full. I saw too that a white cow was born, whose horns were great, and that all the beasts of the field and all the birds of heaven were alarmed at him and entreated him at all times. Then I saw that the nature of all of them was changed, and that they became white cows, and that the first who was in the midst of them spoke, when that word became a large beast, upon the head of which were great and black horns, while the Lord of the sheep rejoiced over them and over all the cows. I lay down in the midst of them. I awoke and saw the whole. This is the vision which I saw laying down and waking, when I blessed the Lord of righteousness and gave glory to him. Afterwards I wept abundantly, nor did my tears cease, so that I become incapable of enduring it. While I was looking on, they flowed on account of what I saw, for all was come and gone by. Every individual circumstance respecting the conduct of mankind was seen by me. In that night I remembered my former dream, and therefore wept and was troubled, because I had seen that vision. And now, my son Methuselah, call to me all thy brethren, and assemble for me all the children of thy mother. For a voice calls me, and the Spirit is poured out upon me, that I may show you everything which shall happen to you forever. Then Methuselah went, called to him all his brethren, and assembled his kindred, and conversing with all his children in truth. Enoch said, hear, my children, every word of your father, and listen in uprightness to the voice of my mouth. For I would gain your attention while I address you. My beloved, be attached to integrity and walk in it. Pause. My beloved, be attached to integrity and walk in it. How many people walk in their integrity nowadays? I know a lot of people who do, and a lot of people don't. That's what's missing in society. They follow everybody else. Approach not integrity with a double heart, nor be associated with the double-minded man, but walk, my children, in righteousness, which will conduct you in good paths, and be truth your companion. For I know that oppression will exist and prevail on earth. Oh, that it does. That on earth great punishment shall in the end take place, and that there shall be a consummation of all integrity, which shall be cut off from its root, and every fabric raised by it shall pass away. Integrity, however, hang on. Inequity, however, shall again be renewed and consummated on earth. Every act of crime and every act of oppression and impiety shall be a second time embraced. We're here now. We're living this right now. Inequity, however, shall again be renewed and consummated on earth. What are we going through right now? And impiety shall be second time embraced. This is talking about now. Resonate with it if you do. When therefore inequity, sin, blasphemy, tyranny. Hi, tyranny. How are you? I know you all so well. And every evil work shall increase. And when transgression, impiety, and uncleanness also shall increase, then upon them all shall great punishment be inflicted from heaven. Happening now. The Holy Lord shall go forth in wrath, and upon them all shall great punishment from heaven be inflicted. And it is. The Holy Land shall go forth in wrath and with punishment that may execute judgment upon earth. In those days, oppression shall be cut off from its roots, and inequity with fraud shall be eradicated, perishing from under heaven. From every place of strength shall be surrendered with its inhabitants. With fire shall it be burnt. They shall be brought from every part of the earth and be cast into judgment of fire. They shall perish in wrath, and by a judgment overpowering them forever. Or guillotine, or firing squad. Righteousness shall be raised up from slumber, and wisdom shall raise up and conferred upon them. What's happening now? The Great Awakening. We're here. Hi. The sun's shining. Light codes are coming. Mass coronal ejections are happening off the sun. The geomagnetic field is going bananas. It's here. Then shall the roots of inequity be cut off. Sinners perish by the sword, and blasphemers be annihilated everywhere. Well, what's going on at the southernmost tip of Florida, the little island? Woo, the spa. What's going on there? Used to look at the logs. Those who meditate oppression and those who blaspheme by the sword shall perish. And now, my children, I will describe and point out to you the path of righteousness and the path of oppression. I will again point them out to you that you may know what is to come. And folks, that whole part is why this isn't in the Bible, because they don't want you to know the truth. They don't want you to know the corruption that they pull off around the world. They don't want you to know what is going to happen to them because it gives them consent by your unknowing. This is happening now, ladies and gentlemen. I'm reading this book in the time of now. This is happening right at this very moment, instant. And the people you thought were really good, or one side of the coin, the left side, those people are pure evil. And the people that they told you were evil and bad and impure and woo, those are the good guys. Hear now, my children, and I walk in the path of righteousness, but shun that of oppression. For all who walk in the path of inequity shall perish forever. That which was written by Enoch, he wrote all this instruction of wisdom for every man of dignity, every judge of the earth, for all my children who shall dwell upon earth, for subsequent generations conducting themselves uprightly and peacefully, which is all of us. Let not your spirit be grieved on account of the time, for the Holy, the Great One, has prescribed a period to all, and it's coming. Let not your spirit be grieved on account of the times, for the Holy, the Great One, has prescribed a period to all. What do you think that is? I think after this showpiece narrative war, that all of us are going to hit prosperity. We're going to rewrite history. We're going to make better communities. We're going to clean up the evil out of every aspect of this world and not allow it again. You have to have evil. You have to have good in a balance. But when people are unaware that it's even taking place because of brainwashing and because of systems put in place to really numb the minds of people, poison the food, poison the air, poison the water, you're giving no good living human righteousness the path that they need to walk because you're killing them. You're poisoning them. They have no chance because they have no control over that. Unknowingly doing evil. They don't know. Most people don't know. That period of us coming into something is coming soon. And I'm hoping within days, within this month. Let the righteous man arise from slumber. See, people are waking up. The great awakening. The great awakening. People are going to wake up to the truth. People are waking up to their spirituality. People are waking up to the God within. That we need to obtain Christ consciousness to ascend. We're all waking up to this. Let him arise and proceed in the path of righteousness in all its paths, and let him advise in goodness and in eternal clemency. Mercy shall be shown to the righteous man. Upon him shall be conferred integrity and power forever. In goodness and righteousness shall he exist, and shall walk in everlasting light. But sin shall perish in eternal darkness, nor be seen from this time forward forevermore. That's damn promising. Sign me up. Enoch, sign me up. I think we're all ready for this. And if you're not, really take a good look in that mirror and do some work on yourself. We got to get this world in a better place. And it takes all of us united as one, not under any specific religion. It doesn't matter what color, what race, what creed, what sex. We are all one and the same. When we all start to understand that we're all human species, we're going to be in a better place. And we're going to accept everybody for their eccentricities, their uniqueness, because we're all displaying aspects of somebody that they don't display, but might. After this, Enoch began to speak from a book. And Enoch said concerning the children of righteousness, concerning the elect of the world, and concerning the plant of righteousness and integrity. Concerning these things will I speak, and these things will I explain to you, my children, who I am Enoch. In consequence of that which has been shown to me from my heavenly vision and from the voice of the holy angels, have I acquired knowledge, and from the tablet of heaven have I acquired understanding. Enoch then began to speak from a book and said, I have been born the 7th in the 1st week, while judgment and righteousness wait with patience. But after me in the 2nd week, great wickedness shall arise, and fraud shall spring forth. In that week, the end of the 1st shall take place, in which mankind shall be safe. But when the 1st is completed, iniquity shall grow up, and he shall execute decree upon sinners. Afterwards, in the 3rd week, during its completion, a man of the plant of righteousness judgment shall be selected. And after him, the plant of righteousness shall come forever. Subsequently, in the 4th week, during the completion, the visions of the holy and righteousness shall be seen. The order of generation after generation shall take place, and an inhabitation shall be made for them. Then in the 5th week, during the completion of the house of glory, and dominion shall be erected forever. After that, in the 6th week, all those who are in it shall be darkened. The hearts of all of them shall be forgetful of wisdom, and it shall a man ascend. And during its completion, he shall burn the house of dominion with fire, and all the race of the elect root shall be dispersed. Afterwards, in the 7th week, a perverse generation shall rise. Abundant shall be its deeds, and all its deeds perverse. During its completion, the righteous shall be selected from the everlasting plant of righteousness, and to them shall be given the 7-fold doctrine of his whole creation, happening now. Afterwards, there shall be another week, the 8th of righteousness, to which shall be given a sword to execute judgment and justice upon all oppressors. Sinners shall be delivered up into the hands of the righteousness, who during the completion shall acquire habitations by their righteousness, And the house of the great king shall be established for a celebration forever. And this, in the 9th week, shall the judgment of righteousness be revealed to the whole world. It's coming. Every work of ungodly shall disappear from the whole earth. Happening now. The world shall be marked for destruction, and after all men shall be on the lookout for the path of integrity. Happening now. And after this, on the 7th day of the 10th week, there shall be an everlasting judgment, which shall be executed upon the watchers, and a spacious eternal heaven shall spring forth in the midst of the angels. The former heaven shall depart and pass away. A new heaven shall appear, and all the celestial powers shine with sevenfold splendor forever. Afterwards, likewise, shall there be many weeks which shall externally exist in goodness and righteousness. Neither shall sin be named there forever and forever. Who is there of all the children of men capable of hearing the voice of the Holy One without emotion? Who is there capable of thinking his thoughts? Who capable of contemplating all the workmanship of heaven? Who of comprehending the deeds of heaven? He may behold its animation, but not its spirit. He may be capable of conversing respecting it, but not of ascending to it. He may see all the boundaries of these things and meditate upon them, but he can make nothing like them. Who of all men is able to understand the breadth and length of the earth? Oh, it says it right there. Who of all men is able to understand the breadth and length of the earth? Oh, by whom have been seen the dimensions of all things. I've been saying that. I've been saying that. It is every man who is capable of comprehending the extent of heaven, what its elevation is, and by what it is supported. How many are the numbers of the stars, and where all the luminaries remain at rest? And it's all happening now. And now I let my exhort you, my children, to love righteousness and to walk in it. For the pathways of righteousness are worthy of exception, but the paths of inequity shall suddenly fail, and be diminished. To men of note in their generation, the paths of oppression and death are revealed, but they keep far from them and do not follow them. Now too, let me exhort you who are righteous, and not to walk in the paths of evil and oppression, nor in the path of death. Approach them not, that you may not perish, but covert, and choose for yourselves righteousness and a good life. Walk in the paths of peace, that you may live and be found worthy. Retain my words in your inmost thoughts, and obligate them not from your hearts, for I know that sinners counsel men to commit crimes craftily. They are not found in every place, nor does every counsel possess a little of them. Woe to those who build up inequity and oppression, and who lay the foundation of fraud. For suddenly shall they be subverted and never obtain peace. Woe to those who build up their houses with crime, for from their very foundations shall their houses be demolished, and by the sword shall they themselves fall. Those too who acquire gold and silver shall justly and suddenly perish. Woe to you who are rich, for in your riches have you trusted, but from your riches you shall be removed, because you have not remembered the Most High in the days of your prosperity. You shall be removed because you have not remembered the Most High in the days of your prosperity. You have committed blasphemy, iniquity, and are destined to the day of the effusion of blood, to the day of darkness, and to the day of the great judgment. This I declare and point out to you, that he who created you will destroy you. When you fall, he will not show you mercy, but your Creator will rejoice in your destruction. Let those then who shall be righteous among you in those days detest sinners and the ungodly. Oh, that my eyes were clouds of water, that I might weep over you and pour forth my tears like rain, and rest from the sorrow of my heart. Who has permitted you to hate and to transgress? Judgment shall overtake you, ye sinners. The righteous shall not fear the wicked, because God will again bring them into your power, that you may avenge yourselves of them according to your pleasure. Woe to you who shall be so bound by exactions that you cannot be released from them, the remedy being far removed from your account and your sins. Woe to you who recompense your neighbor with evil, for you shall be recompensed according to your works. Woe to you, ye false witnesses, you who aggravate iniquity, for you shall suddenly perish. Woe to you, ye sinners, for you reject the righteous, for you receive or reject all pleasure, those who commit iniquity, and their yoke shall prevail over you. Wait in hope, ye righteous, for suddenly shall sinners perish from before you, and you shall exercise dominion over them according to your will. It's happening now. Who is rising? Who is falling? The battle between good and evil. The good, righteous people of this world are rising up, and we're taking down the evil scum that has controlled our planet for all this time. They're going down. What side are you on? In the day of the sufferings of sinners, your offspring shall be elevated and lifted up like eagles. Your nest shall be more exalted than that of a vest. You shall ascend and enter into the cavities of the earth and into the clefts of the rocks forever, like conies, from the sight of the ungodly. Who shall groan over you and weep like sirens? You shall not fear those who trouble you, for restoration shall be yours. A splendid light shall shine around you, and the voice of tranquility shall be heard from heaven. Woe to you, sinners, for your wealth makes you resemble saints. But your hearts reproach you, knowing that you are sinners. If that wasn't the truest statement of this time frame, holy beep. This world shall testify against you for the remembrance of crime. Woe to you who feed upon the glory of the corn and drink the strength of the deepest spring, and in the pride of your power tread down the humble. Woe to you who drink water at pleasure, for suddenly shall you be recompensed, consumed and withered, because you have forsaken the fountain of life. Woe to you who act inquietusly, fraudulently, and blasphemously. There shall be a remembrance against you for evil. Woe to you, ye powerful, who with power strike down righteousness, for the day of your destruction shall come, while at the very time many and good days shall be the portion of the righteous, even the period of your judgment. It's going down. It's gonna timber. It's going down. The world governments are changing and things are gonna be okay. This is what's happening around the world. We're watching the old guard go and the new forming, the righteous ones. The righteous are confident that sinners will be disgraced and perish in the day of iniquity. You shall yourselves be conscious of it, for the Most High will remember your destruction, and the angel shall rejoice over it. What will you do, ye sinners? And where will you fly in the day of judgment, when you shall hear the words of the prayer of the righteous? You are not like them who in this respect witness against you. You are associates of sinners. In those days shall the prayers of the righteous come up before the Lord, when the day of your judgment shall arrive, and every circumstance of your iniquity be related before the great and the Holy One. Your faces shall be covered with shame, while every deed strengthened by crime shall be rejected. Woe unto you, sinners, who in the midst of the sea and on dry land are those against whom an evil record exists. Woe to you who squander silver and gold, not obtained in righteousness, and say we are rich, possess wealth, and have acquired everything that we can desire. Now then will we do whatever so we are disposed to do, for we have amassed silver, our barns are full, and the husbandmen of our families are like overflowing water. Like water shall your falsehood pass away, for your wealth not be permanent, but shall suddenly ascend from you, because you have obtained it all iniquitously. To extreme malediction shall you be delivered up. I wonder why so many people step down off their CEO jobs and why everybody's just selling their humongous multi-million penthouses all of a sudden, and everybody's just giving up all this stuff. Do you ever think about that? Why all of a sudden all the stars, you see their penthouses and their side houses and all this stuff is starting to just be liquidated. And then all of a sudden people keep stepping down and saying they're sick and saying that they have, they're stepping down because of stupid acts and deeds that they did. But does anyone ever think that those people are the most malicious, evil, aligned people in the planet that has caused so much harm to humanity? Deceivers, especially the actors. That's what they're good at. They're good at acting. They're good at leading you on. They're good at creating stories. They're good at telling lies. They're all going down. And the people who've been snubbed, who've been excommunicated because they're not playing that game of evil, they're going to be the ones that get to rise up and have their true talents shine and given a chance, and not to become a star to be idolized, to be righteous and fulfill their destiny that was robbed from them. And now I swear to you, ye crafty as well as simple ones, that you often contemplating the earth, you who are men, clothe yourselves more elegantly than married women, and both together more so than unmarried ones, everywhere arraying yourselves in majesty, in magnificence, in authority, and in silver. But gold, purple, honor, and wealth like water flow away. Erudication, therefore, and wisdom are not theirs. Thus shall they perish together with their riches, with all their glory, and with their honors. While with disgrace, with slaughter, and in extreme penury shall their spirits be thrust into a furnace of fire. I have sworn to you, ye sinners, that neither mountain nor hill has been or shall be subservient to women. Hello. Another reason why this wasn't placed in books for the masses to see. Oh, the evil that reigns, and that are trying really hard to tell people who they are inside and to knock women off. Oops, divine feminine's coming back. Oops. And not feminism, and no disrespect to anybody who is a part of that. I think it's a beautiful thing. But women or men are equal and need to be treated that way. Neither in this way has crime been sent down to us upon earth, but men of their own heads have invented it, and greatly shall those who give it efficiency be eradicated. Bareness shall not be previously inflicted on women, but on account of the work of her hands shall she die childless. I have sworn to you, ye sinners, by the Holy and the Great One, that all your evil deeds are disclosed in the heavens, and that none of your oppressive acts are counseled in secret. Think not in your minds, neither say in your hearts, that every crime is not manifested and seen. In heaven, it is daily written down before the Most High. Henceforwards shall it be manifested, for every act of oppression which you commit shall be daily recorded until the period of your condemnation. Woe to you, ye simple ones, for you shall perish in your simplicity. To the wise you will not listen, and that which is good you shall not obtain. Now therefore, know that you are destined to the day of destruction, nor hope that sinners shall live, but in process of time you shall die, for you are not marked for redemption, but are destined to the day of the great judgment, to the day of distress and the extreme ignorance of your souls. Woe to you, ye odorate in heart, who commit crime and feed on blood. Oh, that they do. Oh, that they do. They do feed on the substance that runs through our bodies. Little ones at that. When something that's in an EpiPen expires and oxidizes, it becomes something else. And that's the substance they feed on. Once it is that you feed on good things, drink, and are satiated, is it not because our Lord the Most High has abundantly supplied every good thing upon earth? To you there shall be no peace. Woe to you who love the deeds of iniquity. Why do you hope for that which is good? Know that you shall be given up into the hands of the righteous, who shall cut off your necks, slay you, and show you no compassion. Woe to you who rejoice in the trouble of the righteous, for a grave shall not be dug for you. Woe to you who frustrate the word of the righteous, for to you there shall be no hope of life. Woe to you who write down the word of falsehood and the word of the wicked, for their falsehood they record, that they may hear and not forget fully. To them there shall be no peace, but they shall surely die suddenly. Look at all the sinners that have recently died. Out of nowhere, snap, dead. Do you ever think about that, guys? Seriously. Have you ever thought about all of a sudden all these famous people are dying, all these like athletes are dying, like in a snap? Doesn't it smell a little fishy? Doesn't it smell a little fishy to you? Or is God doing the work that we now must see and thank? I'm going to read this last chapter because I'm on a roll right now. Woe to them who are impious, who laud and honor the word of falsehood. You have been lost in perdition and have never led a virtuous life. Fake. Woe to you who change the words of integrity. They transgress against the everlasting decree and cause the heads of those who are not sinners to be trodden down upon the earth. In those days, you, O ye righteous, shall have been deemed worthy of having your prayers rise up in remembrance, and shall have deposited them in testimony before the angels, that might record the sins of sinners in the presence of the Most High. In those days the nation shall be overthrown, but the families of the nation shall rise again in the day of perdition. In those days they who become pregnant shall go forth, carry off their children, and forsake them. Their offspring shall slip from them, while suckling them shall they forsake them. They shall never return to them and never instruct them, their beloved. Again, I swear to you, ye sinners, that crime has been prepared for the day of blood, which never ceases. They shall worship stones, engraved golden, silver, and wooden images. They shall worship impure spirits, demons, and every idol in temples. But no help shall be obtained for them. Their hearts shall become impious through their folly, and their eyes be blinded with mental superstition. In their visionary dreams shall they be impious and superstitious, lying in all their actions and worshiping a stone. Altogether shall they perish. But in those days, blessed shall be to whom the word of wisdom is delivered, who pointed out and pursue the path of the Most High, who walk in the way of righteousness, and who act not impiously with the impious. They shall be saved. Woe to you who expand the crime of your neighbor, for in hell shall you be slain. Woe to you who lay the foundation of sin and deceit, and who are bitter on earth, for on it shall you be consumed. Woe to you who build your houses by the labor of others, every part of which is constructed with brick and with the stone of crime. I tell you that you shall not obtain peace. Woe to you who despise the extent of the everlasting inheritance of your fathers, while your souls follow after idols. For to you there shall be no tranquility. Woe to them who commit iniquity and give aid to blasphemy, who slay their neighbor until the day of the great judgment. For your glory shall fall. Malevolence shall he put into your hearts, and the spirit of his wrath shall stir you up, that every one of you may perish by the sword. Then shall all the righteous and the holy remember your crimes. In those days shall fathers be struck down with their children in the presence of each other, and brethren with their brethren shall fall dead, until a river shall flow from their blood. For a man shall not restrain his hands from his children, nor from his children's children. His mercy will be to kill them. Nor shall the sinner restrain his hands from his honored brother. From the dawn of day, the setting sun, shall the slaughter continue. The horse shall wade up to his breast, and the chariot shall sink to its axle in the blood of sinners. I have to keep going. In those days, the angel shall descend into places of concealment and gather together in one spot all who have assisted in crime. In that day shall the Most High rise up to execute the great judgment upon all sinners, and to commit the guardianship of all righteousness and holy to the holy angels, and they may protect them as the apple of an eye, until every evil and every crime be annihilated. Bye-bye. Whether or not the righteous sleep securely, wise men shall then truly perceive, and the sons of the earth shall understand every word of that book, knowing that their riches cannot save them in the ruin of their crimes. Woe to you, ye sinners, who shall be afflicted on account of the righteous in the day of the great trouble, shall be burnt in the fire and be recompensed according to your deeds. Woe to you, ye perverted in heart, who are watchful to obtain an accurate knowledge of evil and to discover terrors. No one shall assist you. Woe to you, ye sinners, for with the words of your mouths and with the work of your hands have you acted impiously. In the flame of a blazing fire shall you be burnt. And now know ye that the angels shall inquire into your conduct in heaven. Of the sun, the moon, and the stars shall they inquire respecting your sins, for upon earth you exercise jurisdiction over the righteous. Every cloud shall bear witness against you, the snow, the dew, and the rain, for all of them shall be withholden from you, that they may not descend upon you, nor become subservient to your crimes. Now then, bring gifts of salutation to the rain, that not being withholden, it may descend upon you, and to the dew, if it has received from you gold and silver. But when the frost, snow, cold, every snowy wind, and every suffering belonging to them fall upon you in those days, you will be utterly incapable of standing before them. I'm going to leave it there. That was really good. So what's going on in the world today is absolutely playing out right now, especially in this section I read. It is extremely important that we understand that we've all been duped and lied to since the dawn of time about everything. Why was this book not in the actual Bible? Not because it speaks of zodiac signs and the seasons, because they knew that this day would come and they didn't want us to read about it or know about it. They all knew, these evil shits knew that their sins were going to be accounted for one day. And they were afraid that if we read these words, they couldn't get away with their sins. So they hid it from public view and then denote it with, oh, it's a conspiracy theory. Oh no, you can't read Enoch. Ooh, evil, evil, evil. Not at all. They hid this from human eyes because they didn't want you to know the knowledge that's in, and they didn't want you to realize that they are going to burn or get shot or be executed or get a guillotine. It's all happening right now. We have to understand that we are all walking on very thin lines. What side are you on? Ask yourself, why didn't you stand up for the people who needed to stand up? I was standing up with everybody that was in my situation, but no one else stood up when it needed to happen. And it's not to say you're going to be judged. Better late than never. We really have to come together. And we really have to thank God. We really have to really think about how we're going to move forward in our time now. And we cannot no longer be selfish. We can no longer be anything like these people that are hoarding and amounting wealth. And they tell you, oh, well, they're doing all such good work around the world. Then why are there still kids starving? Why is there third world countries? There should be, at this point in time in this world, there should not be anything near a third world country. All countries should be developed and all countries shouldn't have poverty. People should not be out on the streets. People who need help, there should be good help for them. That shouldn't cost anything. That's why most people don't reach out for help, because there's always a cost, and that cost is more greater than what they're doing. This world has to change, and it has to change, and it's going to change, and it's happening now. So whether you're not, change sucks. Sometimes it isn't fun, but we're all going through a metamorphosis. We're in our chrysalises right now. We're transforming into butterflies. What colors and what are you going to represent? How high are you going to fly? How are you contributing to the cause? Spread the word. Everything that was just said is happening now, in our paradigm now. 3D is the only place that has time and space. All other dimensions have other ratios and aspects of time, but they don't measure it the way that we do. We don't look at our cable boxes and go, oh, that's the time. Help one another out. I hope all of you really took in what I said today and understand what's happening. There's a delusional world going on. Shut that stupid black box off for the time being. There are good things coming out. There is little crumbs and breadcrumbs happening. So just be mindful of, if you do put on the box, watch what you literally be cognizant of what you're putting on. And know that things are going to get better. I keep telling myself that each and every day, no matter how many harassing emails and phone calls that I get. I'm trying to stick with it. I'm trying to keep doing this. And I hope that those of you who have an extra can give me a love donation and support me in getting these messages out. Today was monumentous. Everything I read is in divine timing. Everything I put out is in divine timing. I'm a messenger from above. That's all I'm doing, is communicating what needs to be put out from above. I might not look outwardly like that. I might not be that wholesome church-going person, because I bet you those people sin more than everybody else. With judgment, I'm here to break the mold. I'm here to show you that somebody that looks like me can be just as righteous and just as loving and just as caring as anybody else. I'm a major test for a lot of people. Major test. But we need to come together and unite as one and raise up and start making a better difference in this world, because it's up to us. God is helping us right now, major, big time helping us right now. But we can't just sit idly by and just watch it happen. We need to be a part of the movement. We need to be a part of the change. Change doesn't happen if you sit and do nothing about it. Ask yourself, what part of the puzzle piece do you have that you can contribute to this world? And put that puzzle in, so we can put that piece in, so we can make a bigger picture. And I would hope that would be the prosperity and peace, love and light that these children that are been going through hell for the last 3 to 4 years and their developing years, may they be the ones that get the major payoff. It's not right. They shouldn't have grown up in this kind of world in the first place. As beautiful as this world is, think about it. Sending each and every one of you love and light. I hope you enjoyed this. Please make sure you like, you subscribe, and share, because this is a very important read today. And I'll see you on the next one. Bye.